Live from the heart of Baylor Bear Country, the most comprehensive pregame coverage. This is Game Day Live, powered by Sikkim 365 and KWTX News 10.
Saturday morning, Baylor trying to get off the schneid. They're on the road in Ames, Iowa against Iowa State and the Cyclones, a team ranked number 16 in the country, unbeaten at 4-0. And you never know in the Big 12. Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak, I'm David Smoak. Thank you for your time right here on 365 Sports and on KWTX on this Saturday morning. Garrett Ross is running the mothership here on what is MLK. You never know in the Big 12. We're going to get to Baylor and Iowa State. We're going to hear a lot about that game. But how about last night, Craig Smoak and Paul Catalina, the Houston Cougars, who kind of left for dead, and they struggled throughout the year. Willie Fritz and the Cougars go into Fort Worth and beat Sonny Dykes and TCU.
Beat them pretty handily. I mean, TCU made it a game late, but they couldn't stop Houston. Zion Chris was fantastic. Then he had some sort of cramps or forearm injury and couldn't play the rest of the game. Donovan Smith came in and understood the assignment, did exactly what he was supposed to do, and didn't turn the ball over, drove him to a couple field goals, made it impossible for TCU to get back in. Willie Fritz outcoached TCU at every single turn, and the Horned Frogs just looked bad last night.
Yeah, Craig,
just really bad.
They're in a free. I know they had the win against Kansas, but there's a lot of anxiety of what is going on in Fort Worth right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, you were in the college football playoff national championship game because they did win a game despite what the national media tries to tell you, like they didn't beat Michigan when they did. But they did get to the college football playoff national championship game a couple years ago, and since then it's not been very good. It's not totally unlike, in some ways, Baylor after the Big 12 championship win, not really playing up to that level since then. TCU has had a bit of a hangover from the national championship game and hasn't quite been up to snuff themselves. Last year, a rough year, and then this year, a lot of promise and a lot of positive talk in the preseason and a lot of thoughts that this would be a pretty good team. And Sonny Dykes is a guy who's seemingly at a complete loss. He doesn't seem to understand why his teams are struggling so much, but Josh Hoover, for as good of a player as he is at times, and he's a good quarterback, but can't turn it over as much as he does, and he's turning the ball over a lot, including multiple times last night. They don't have much of a run game to speak of, and their defense is not very good. So about the only thing they've got going for them is the passing game, and even then when you throw a couple interceptions, and that negates some of that as well. So, TCU's just in a funk, and I don't know how they get out of it, but I think there's a lot of heat now growing up around Sonny Dykes' seat. Not like they have to win this year or it's bust, but I do think you're starting to hear the chatter about the actual future of Sonny Dykes there at TCU, which is pretty crazy given, where they were 2 years ago. And for Houston, what an incredible win for Willie Fritz and company.
It was a nice night for the Cougars. Willie Fritz, they did like the mosh pit in the locker room. Yeah.
Can I tell you something I noticed? So one of the keys to the Bryles offense was always their ability to quick sub and move on, right? And most of the time, because they were spread out so wide, usually what they would do is the wide receiver who was furthest out past the hash marks was just the one that they would switch, and then that's where they kind of get you with a deep route because they were switching so fast you would notice. Well, now, since they've changed the rule and the defense has to be allowed to sub, Willie Fritz in the fourth quarter
That's exactly
slow-rolled the subs in a way that took the pace out of it for TCU to get back in.
Yeah, no, big win for Houston. They win 30-19. As you mentioned, Chris, the quarterback, was very key, but the defense had a bunch of tackles, sacks, tackles for losses, and Houston gets a huge win, 30-19. There are other games. We'll get to that in the Big 12. There's just one game in the top 25 that's two teams that's ranked. A&M hosting Missouri. We'll have that, plus a couple of other top 25 games last night. One of them was drama between UNLV and former Baylor assistant coach Fran Brown in Syracuse. This series between Baylor and Iowa State, this is the 23rd meeting. Baylor leads the series 12-10. 12-10 overall, 7-4 in Waco. Iowa State has the lead in Ames, 6-5 overall. And Royden Ogletree from KWTX is here with us. He is on the show. Royden, bright, beautiful day in the Midwest. Is it kind of cool or is it warm up there just like it is in Texas?
Right now, I think it's a balmy 60 degrees, Smoky, and but the thing is that it's going to warm up to about 90 degrees by game time. So a wild turn of events for Iowa weather in the fall, if you will. But right now, it's beautiful, and it's a beautiful campus around Jack Trice Stadium. As this is my second trip here, I'm starting to take in a little bit more of the sights. It is a beautiful day here to start.
Royden, this is we're not in must-win territory for Baylor yet, but it's close. And this is not a team that you want to play on the road most of the time. What do you think Baylor can do to start fast against Iowa State, a team that is, and I keep using this word because it's who they are, remarkably efficient?
Yeah, I think the thing that they're going to have to do, and it's something that not for lack of trying, is they're going to have to run the ball. Iowa State really ranks in the top 15 in multiple categories, and they're, I think, 11th in yards allowed per game, 4th in points allowed per game, and only 7.3. Now, barring some of the competition that they have played to start the season, you could probably see why, but they are swarming on defense. The one area where they aren't completely efficient yet, and actually Baylor ranks better defensively than them in this category, is run defense. They're allowing about 150 yards per game. And it's not for lack of trying that Baylor hasn't been able to establish the run. They need to get better at run blocking. That is paramount for this Baylor team. And hopefully they get Richard Reese back. Maybe that provides a little bit of a spark. They also have to sort out who they want to go with in that running back room.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they need to run the ball early and often, so to set up some play action for Sawyer Robinson to hit some deep shots down the field, something that's been sort of lacking. I mean, he's been pretty good at some intermediate throws. Josh Cameron has stepped up as a deep threat, but other than that, I'm just looking to see what playmakers step up against this Iowa State defense that will get to the quarterback pretty easily.
Royden, we see the backdrop there. I know it's a while until game time, but they've got the white uniforms they're breaking out at Iowa State. They're undefeated right now. Do you just get a sense of kind of the confidence level on their end? And is there, I guess, a feeling that they're facing much of a challenge given, kind of the talk around Baylor coming in today?
Well, to be honest, Iowa State right now is going off at an 11-point favorite. So the boys in Vegas don't have much confidence in the Baylor Bears. But I think for good reason, is because Iowa State is playing their best football in 24 years. The last time that they were 4-0 to start the season, it was 2000. Rocco Becht wasn't even born. So it is a interesting time around Iowa State football. Matt Campbell is now the winningest coach in Iowa State history. So they are playing hard, and they are playing for him with a team that wasn't – I don't know what the expectation was around Iowa State to start the season, somewhere in the middle of the Big 12. Now all of a sudden they're with the elite of the elite at the top of the standings, and it'll be interesting to see if they can keep it rolling with an offense that really hasn't quite clicked yet. Rocco Becht has played well, but they haven't played up to the standard that I think that Matt Campbell wants to establish. Now, recently they've been more of a defensive-minded, run the ball control team over the past few years, but you know that Matt Campbell wants to score points. So it'll be interesting to see what they break out here and if they can, kind of get it rolling against a Baylor defense that has started slow in some of these games, and especially in that BYU game, allowing 21 points to start the game.
One of the best comments you made that immediately caught my attention when you mentioned that Iowa State gave up 171 yards rushing to Houston. They have given up yards on the ground, but they're so stingy in the air. So we'll see if Baylor can test that. But Richard Reese is back. And then you said, in fact, but deciding on who they're going to go with. It's almost like they have, if you have 3 or 4 running backs in Reese and others, then maybe you don't have the one. Do you think they have the one, or do they think they have the one?
I haven't been privy to any of those conversations as far as just getting back on this beat as far as who they want to go with at the running back. But it's been clear that Bryson Washington has been their go-to early on, and for good reason. The kid's talented, obviously. I mean, we've covered him at Franklin. We talked about it last week a couple of weeks ago against Colorado. And they want to feature him. He's a tough, physical, downhill runner, kind of craves contact a little bit. Richard Reese has been known to be sort of the scat back now in that offense. I was shocked that Dawson Pendergrass didn't get more carries and decidedly didn't get more carries in that Colorado game until late in that game. But you're right. It's almost the axiom of if you have two quarterbacks, you don't have one. Well, if you have four running backs, who's the bell cow? I have no idea. And obviously they wanted to incorporate Dominic Richardson. They brought him in as a transfer, and they had high hopes for him. And it's gone back and forth to varying degrees of success on what he's been able to do for them. I would just like to see them establish sort of a 1-2 punch, if not with Richard Reese as the sort of scat back, go-to back on the outside, Bryson Washington, Dominic Richardson. I just would like to see sort of that room shake itself out as we go forward in the season.
Royden, what is the board affair there in Ames? I know that there's Hickory Barbecue is a very popular spot. What have you taken in from the city to tell people who might make a future trip to Ames, Iowa for a game?
Well, to be honest with you, I am staying in Des Moines, Iowa, which is about 35 minutes from the front door of Jack Trice Stadium. But we were here a couple of years ago, and Chris Williams and I explored the local fare. Now, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head what the restaurants there's a Perkins here. I haven't heard of Perkins since like the mid-2000s. So that's
the one
interesting.
that Tiger used to go to?
Maybe not in Ames, Iowa, but he was known to frequent a few of them. But just the area around the stadium. Look, if you're looking for a good tailgate, I will say this: Iowa State does one of the best tailgating scenes in the Big 12. In fact, that's where they probably have me park my car here in a little bit, right in the middle of it. They have repurposed like school buses that people come and drive up here and camp out overnight. There's tons and tons of RVs that are already camped out overnight, and there will be thousands upon thousands of tailgaters out here. And look, just to be honest, if you wanted to get some of the scenery, it's a beautiful stadium. The stadium backs up right into like a botanical garden. Mm-hmm. It's awesome what they built around here, and they continue to build around here as well. But I will have to explore a little bit more of the local fare while I'm up and at 'em here in Ames. But hopefully I won't have to make the trek back to Des Moines before the game, but we'll see how that goes.
Thank you very much, Royden. Great stuff. Good to see you, man. Good to see you.
See y'all.
On the beat and with us on Game Day Live and KWTX right outside of Jack Trice Stadium. I've been there a couple of different times. It is very underrated as far as the home field atmosphere. The tailgating there is probably as good, and the food amazing, as I was able to one time get there early enough for a night game and then just walk around. It is fantastic. Iowa State hosting Baylor tonight on, again, the Big 12 schedule that just keeps on going and going and going. And why can't Baylor pull a Houston? Why not? Why can't they do what Colorado did in Orlando by beating UCF, who was a favorite? Why not? Why can't they do Arizona what they did against Utah? Why not? Well, it's because it just seems like there's always this just one play or one big play clutch moment away from a couple of things. We'll hear, by the way, from Dave Aranda. Sawyer Robertson will join us in a little bit, too, plus more on Baylor, Iowa State, and this is Game Day Live.
Game Day Live, sponsored locally by Central Texas Plumbing Solutions and Bird Colgin Ford.
We relieve dental anxiety with sedation. Sedation dentistry are simply taking a pill or pills to make you relax or help the patient relax.
Dr. Thrasher and his staff are experts in relieving dental anxiety. New patient special at $195.
Go have a visit with Dr. Thrasher and the staff and tell them what your fears are. They're the kind of people, they listen to what you say and then they try to make it work.
Waco is the heart of Texas, centrally located and home to industry-leading distribution centers like Amazon, Walmart, and Tractor Supply. From Waco, it's easy to get anywhere you want to go. And at Jeff Hunter Toyota, we have the perfect vehicle to get you there, like the new Toyota Tundra, Toyota RAV4, Highlander, and Tacoma. Go where you want to go in a new Toyota. Find yours today at Jeff Hunter Toyota. Toyota quality, Waco values.
Hey Dad, annuities have been trending on social media and I was thinking about getting one.
You know you should. I've got one through SPJST that guarantees me income in my retirement.
Guaranteed?
Yep.
Thanks Dad, good advice.
So I need some advice from you guys now. How do I get these pictures from my phone to my computer?
All right. Looks like we have to clear out a whole Saturday for this one.
Yeah.
Annuities from SPJST. Good advice for any generation.
And there's a huge weekend with a lot of people in town because of a triathlon that's going on in Waco right up and down the Brazos River. We're about a mile or two away on the west side of I-35 from McLean Stadium. But tonight and today at 6:30, it's 16th ranked Iowa State at home against Baylor. DeQuan Finn comes in as a transfer in the offseason from Toledo. He gets a really nice package of an NIL. But Baylor has the loss, of course, to Utah. The injury to DeQuan Finn. Sawyer Robertson, who was a part of the quarterback rotation last year. Blake Shapen goes to Mississippi State. He gets another opportunity. I think for the most part he's played well. In fact, I think he's been one of the bright spots. But, yeah, he's thrown a couple of deadly picks, including the game that sealed the loss to BYU last week. Your thoughts about what he's done since taking over for injured DeQuan Finn?
He's been good. He hasn't been great. And that's really – they just need good. They need better run game like we talked about with Royden to help him out. But he's played well enough for them to win some games. And they haven't because of various reasons. So he's brought some steadiness to it. And I know that the athleticism of DeQuan Finn was probably the draw to him, and he's been hurt. But he stepped in well and seems like he's comfortable and healthy and all that, which he was not last year. So we've seen some good things out of Sawyer Robertson, but he's far from their problem, right? I mean, he's not the problem. They have other things that are more pressing issues than Sawyer.
Yeah, he's pretty far down the list of issues that they have, so I'm not really too worried about him. I think he's played really well. I think he's made some mistakes, at times that have been a little bit costly, like the interception at the end of the game last week. I mean, that was a great call defensively by BYU that fooled him a little bit. He's just got to be better about that and learn from that type of mistake. But other than that, I think it's been more of a bad offensive line that has been bad going on 2+ years now, and also just a lack of a lot of playmakers around him, honestly. I mean, who out here is breaking out and busting out big plays on a regular basis? Because I can't name them. Like Ashton Hawkins on occasion. Hal Presley jumps up and makes a couple catches. You've had Josh Cameron. Monterey Baldwin hasn't gotten going nearly as much, but they don't have any dudes that can really take too much off of his plate. So they're able to bust things here and there, and that's been good enough to be in games and even win a couple of them. But I think he's doing what he can do, and I think he's just going to keep getting better with more reps. But he's certainly not the issue. I think you point all around him before you actually point to him.
Yeah, their leading receiver has 16 catches, and Josh Cameron, who's kind of become their possession receiver right now, and he's a great story, former walk-on, nearly 300 yards receiving. The longest reception of the year, when you have people like Monterey Baldwin and Ashton Hawkins, among others, it's 47 yards to Cameron. And so that has been an issue, which also then, because you can't stretch the field, you can't run the football.
Well, I do think if there is some criticism for Sawyer, they're not hitting on the deep ball nearly often. I mean, there's 2 deep balls that win 2 games for you if they connect. Last week against BYU, who was it that he was going to? Was it Monterey or that they had the deep ball to that they couldn't connect on? They would have given them the lead, right, towards the end of that game, and it's too far out front. There was the Ashton Hawkins miss, which I guess was more on his end, not catching the football against Colorado.
Right.
But it feels like they're one deep ball every game away from flipping the outcome, and they just can't connect, whether it's the receiver or it's Robertson. So if they can get into a mode where he can hit that more often, then I think that would be a huge plus for this offense.
All right, so Sawyer Robertson met with the media. Jackie Marshall defensively met with the media. Thanks to Emery Winter for putting this together. These are 2 players, Baylor, quarterback and linebacker, on today's game with Iowa State.
How have you really, these last few weeks, you've been playing pretty well individually. Why? What is your mindset? What was your mindset from the beginning of the season, and how has that helped you these last 3 weeks?
Yeah, I think at the beginning of the season, just being ready when my number was called, and then I think the reason, any kind of development or progress, that I've made is like a result from just like personal growth in the off season. I know like I kind of like learned I'm not defined by the result of any game or how I perform or what anybody writes or says about me or like the outcome of anything, but instead just like my identity comes through who Jesus Christ says I am and what he did on the cross. And I know because of that I'm taken care of, and because of that I can play free and I can have fun when I play. And so that's kind of been my mindset, and it's been really freeing, and I think that's why the results have been the way they have.
Seems like confidence really has been there, and just like you said, playing free. Do you think that really opens up the offense and just kind of allows Baylor to be what they can be in terms of the offensive side of the ball?
Yeah, well, I think first of all, Spav does a great job just like coaching. I mean, it's pretty like when I get out there, I feel super comfortable and, like you said, confident, because like I know what I'm going to get, I know what I'm looking for, and so he just puts me in all kinds of really good situations, and so all the credit goes to him. And then obviously, you know, like throwing to Hal and Josh and all those receivers helps out a lot. The guys blocking up front, doing everything they can, really just makes my life easy. And so yeah, that's where kind of like the confidence and the results of everything have been coming from.
Receiver group, how much have they stepped up? It seems like anyone in that group can really just go off on any given day.
Yeah, and it makes it hard on defenses because they don't know who or how to game plan. And so like having all those guys has just been incredible. Like I said, it makes my life really easy, and I'm so thankful for each and every one of them.
Coach Aranda mentioned yesterday that y'all can still be a really good football team if you put halves together. Do you still get that sense, and how can y'all put it together for 4 quarters starting this weekend?
I think we just have to do it, you know, and like personally, like on the offensive side of the ball, like we get the ball back with 2 minutes left against Colorado and just have to get a first down to ice the game. Didn't get it done. And then last weekend, kind of moving the ball up and down the field all game, throwing it around all game, and then in the last, 2 possessions it was, we just couldn't get it done after the defense kind of fought back and put us in a position to win. And so, like, I take a lot of responsibility for that. And, like, at the end of the day, like, we just got to do it.
Iowa State's a pretty good defense. What have you seen from them kind of as you prepare?
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for them. They are a really good defense. I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a really fun game. Just going out there and playing and having fun. And I'm expecting them to be a really great challenge. I think everybody in this conference has been so far. And, you know, it'll be like that's why you play this game, is for matchups like that and to play against competition like that. They're really good at what they do, so I'm looking forward to it.
Pretty early on in the season when Aranda said, you know, named DeQuan the starter, said you've been through so many battles in your life and consistently fight. I mean, how much did it mean to you these past 3 starts, maybe to, you know, have them have that faith in you to lead the offense and really just kind of rally behind you?
Yeah, it means a lot. It means a lot, but kind of like you said, like there's been a lot of battles, been through a lot, going back to Mississippi State, and so like I just feel like everything I've been through like has prepared me for it, and like there's nothing that can happen on the field that can kind of like shake who I am as a person and my faith and like the foundation of who I am. And so that allows me to like I said earlier, just play and have fun and play free. But to have them believe in me, like it means the world to me, because like this is what I've dreamed of my whole life.
How much did that start on the road against Colorado prepare you for this weekend?
A lot, because obviously it was a great environment, super fun game to play in, and you know, it was my first like start away, and so like I feel like it was really loud. Like I said, the environment was great, and I'm expecting that to be the case this Saturday too, another night game. And yeah, like it should be really similar, and I'm looking forward to it.
Crucial is a win this week to y'all after these past 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think it's extremely important. Just being in the situation. I mean, like y'all saw the games. Like it's just being close. Like it kind of sucks. Like you don't play to get close. Nobody remembers the guys that get close to winning. They remember the guys that do win. And so, just like putting it all together and getting a win, no matter how it looks, is like it's really important. And like we want to do that. Like I think everybody's tired of getting close.
To build on that, yesterday Coach Aranda said y'all can still be a really good football team if y'all put halves together. Do you still get that sense even after the past couple of
Most definitely, yes, for sure. I think it's a confidence thing too. Like I think everybody needs to know that we can go out here and play against whoever, and win.
What's the kind of mentality going up against? Obviously, Iowa State, always a good defensive unit. Just to, I guess, set the bar yourself heading into Ames.
I know it's going to be a hard fought, physical game. And I think just knowing that, like, coming in ready, like, it's going to be a fight. Yeah.
Get ready, Baylor fans. The ultimate game weekend experience awaits you at the Baylor Club. Kick off your weekend with our Friday Night Live pep rally. With live entertainment and special appearances from the Baylor Spirit Squad, it's the perfect way to start your game weekend with a roar. On Saturdays, don't miss our Knox Hall tailgate. Enjoy delicious food, ice-cold drinks, and great company as you gear up for the big game. And after the weekend's excitement, wrap it all up with our famous Bear brunches on Sundays. Don't wait. Make your game weekends legendary with a Baylor Club membership today.
Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, a wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trust. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
Make Camp Fimfo the destination for your next visit to Waco. Whether you're catching a football game, exploring the silos, or just looking to get away, Camp Fimfo Waco is conveniently located 6 miles from downtown and Baylor University. Voted a #1 best vacation rental in Waco for the last 2 years, this camping resort features cabins and RV sites and is brimming with premium amenities like on-site dining, sports courts, a swimming pool, and more. Start making unforgettable memories and book your stay at Camp Fimfo Waco.
Edward Jones Financial Advisors Ben Erlinson, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott understand these are difficult and changing times we live in, but they know how important your financial investments are to you. So is your financial advisor staying in touch with you and helping you navigate today's financial climate? Invest with Edward Jones Financial Advisors Ben Erlinson, Chuck Verno, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, who invest their time and experience back to you and your money. And like coaching athletes, investing money is about time, patience, and encouragement. Contact Ben Erlinson at 254-759-8533. Brad Wilson's location at 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, and Cam Heathcott in Conroe. Edward Jones Financial Advisors, Ben Erlinson, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, proud sponsors of 365 Sports. Edward Jones, making sense of investing, member SIPC.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet, over 600,000 words in the dictionary, and just 3 of them said together can change everything. Let's order pizza. Those 3 words lead to dough made from scratch and 3 fresh signature cheeses that blanket golden crust in a heavenly melt on Marco's Pizza that'll blow your mind. So visit marcos.com to order and stop by Marco's Pizza in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Back into Game Day Live. I'm Garrett Ross with today's Keys to the Game presented by Richard Carr Motors. Last week, Baylor had another heart-wrenching loss as they fell to BYU in Waco. And while they closed the gap in the second half, it was that 21-0 deficit they found themselves in at the start that really set Baylor behind. And that's kind of been a pattern with this team all year, is these slow starts that's been repetitive. And unfortunately, it caught up for Baylor last week. And I know you had a lot of players out, but at the same time, you can't use that as an excuse because we've seen this before. So that's something Baylor's going to need to avoid this weekend as they head to Ames to take on number 16 Iowa State. And, this is a team in Iowa State who, while they don't do anything flashy, they're very physical, they're very sound, and they just do all the technical and little things really, really good. And that's kind of the trait of Matt Campbell everywhere he's been as their head coach. So as Baylor goes into this game, they're kind of going into a hornet's nest, and that's going to start with our first key to the game, which is eliminate big plays, because You look at this Iowa State offense, they're not putting up godly numbers this year, but they're really, really efficient at getting the ball down the field and finding those explosive plays. When you look at quarterback Rocco Bett, he's got a really good chemistry with Jaden Higgins, their wide receiver, and Higgins is one of the best receivers in the Big 12, so that's going to be something that Baylor's going to have to figure out because Baylor's secondary has really been hit or miss this season. They got exposed against Colorado, but a lot of secondaries are going to get exposed by Colorado, so I'm looking forward to watching this matchup there, but Iowa State's one of those teams where they've scored 4 touchdowns this season in less than a minute. Rocco Bett has a touchdown pass in 8 straight games, and he has 6 different passes for over 50 yards this season. So eliminating the big play is something Baylor's definitely going to have to do if they want to come out of Ames with a win over the Cyclones. Secondly, Baylor's going to have to win the turnover battle. We've seen Baylor have times this season where last week you look at Linus Noel came away with a big interception, but most of the times when Baylor has made a big play or created a turnover, they just haven't been able to capitalize that on. And when you look at Iowa State, it's the complete opposite, man. The Cyclones are really, really good on defense. They fly around. They have a +7 turnover margin right now, which puts them as the head of the Big 12. But they're also in the top 10 nationally in defense. And if you get into the red zone, their red zone defense is really, really elite. And it's hard for anybody to score on them. So Baylor's going to have to figure out a way to win the turnover battle. And with Baylor not having a rushing attack this season, you're probably going to look at this where Sawyer Robertson's going to have to try to throw Baylor to a victory, and that's not going to be ideal. Iowa State's secondary has created 7 turnovers this season. 5 different Cyclones have interceptions. So if you get into a situation where you're Baylor and you're having to rely on Sawyer Robertson to throw you to a victory, I don't like those odds because Iowa State's secondary can make you pay. And then lastly, it's really going to be keep your composure. And I think it's going to benefit Baylor, the fact they've already gone on the road this season to Rice Eccles up in Utah. You lost, but that was a hostile environment, and you were competitive in that game. You also went to Folsom Field in Colorado. We saw how that game ended there, but at the same time, that was an environment that Baylor was able to manage until the end when everything fell apart. So I think having that is going to help, but as you head into Jack Trice Stadium, this is one of the most underrated environments in the nation, an elite tailgating scene. The fans are very passionate, and this is also a time where Iowa State's looking to go 5-0 for the first time since 1980. This is going to be a whiteout game for the 50th season at Jack Trice Stadium, and they're honoring the late Jack Trice with the all-white whiteout. So this atmosphere is going to be raucous. You're going to have a lot of liquored up Iowa State fans who've been slamming Busch Lights all day, as this is a night game. And if Baylor goes out and they get off to another one of those slow starts and that crowd feels themselves, it could be over quick for Baylor. But at the end of the day, I think this is one that Baylor could honestly go and pull off the upset, because while Iowa State's defense is really good and the numbers reflect that, the level of competition they face this season isn't on the same par as what Baylor has faced. And there's a slight chance that this secondary for Iowa State could be suspect. And if Baylor can get their offense flowing and Sawyer Robertson can get into a rhythm, then that could pose well for the Bears. But at the same time, I don't have faith in this team right now. I think this is going to be a defensive battle, and I think that Iowa State comes out on top about 24-20. But regardless, this is going to be a fun game up in Ames. Big 12 matchup, and Baylor needs to get that first win in conference play to turn things around. But that's going to do it for today's Keys to the Game. We'll be back with more Game Day Live right after this.
Sleep cozy every night with fantastic fall mattress savings from Du Bois Furniture. Shop dream deals on a new Sealy Stearns & Foster or Tempur-Pedic mattress and save 10% off your new bedroom now at Du Bois Furniture.
Join KWTX News 10 during the Greg May Honda Extra Point High School Football Show for the Slovaceks Extra Hot Play of the Week. Watch as we highlight 3 hot plays. Then visit kwtx.com/hot plays to vote for your favorite. Voting ends the following Monday at noon, and the winning hot play will be revealed on KWTX on Monday during the 6 and 10 p.m. newscasts. The Slovaceks Extra Hot Play of the Week is sponsored by Slovaceks in West.
Announcing Genco's Car Hugger Special. Right now, refinance your auto loan at Genco and get 3 months of no car payments. Plus, your loan will be automatically entered for a chance to win your next 3 car payments on us. Enjoy 5.19% for 48 months and then skip your payments until 2025. Love your car. Hug your car. Make it a Genco car.
My money, my future, my credit union. Genco.
Bring home Own the cozy comforts of fall from Du Bois Furniture. You'll rake in the savings on all our beautiful furniture store-wide, plus additional in-store promotions and special financing. The styles you want at prices you love. Now at Du Bois Furniture.
Watch the Greg May Honda Extra Point High School Football Show every Friday night at 10.
Hines, Des Moines Register, covering Iowa State 4-0. Top 20 team, Matt Campbell, winningest coach in Iowa State football history. They just keep going about their business. They host Baylor on Saturday evening, and Travis joins us on 365 Sports. Travis, thanks for your call and time. How would you describe, and with the words methodical, efficient, how would you describe the identity of Iowa State football this year?
I think methodical and efficient works. The word I would use would be workmanlike. I mean, they have been very good, not overly impressive, certainly not incredibly dynamic or dominant, but they have taken care of business week in and week out. I mean, they were down 13-0 in Iowa City in week 2 and came back to win, demolish Arkansas State, take care of Houston. It's been a very workmanlike. I think they've just done their job week in and week out. And when you look at who they are, the schedule that they have in front of them, that can take them pretty far.
Travis, this team, for the most part, played all together last year. Now, like you said, they have not been spectacular yet, but does that maybe bode well for that coming, because they do have such ridiculously good continuity on this team?
I mean, I think the question is, are they going to have a breakout at running back? Like, that's the biggest thing offensively, because we know how good Rocco Becht is. We know how good the wide receiver tandem of Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel are. Like, those guys are dynamic. What we don't know is, do they have a true weapon at running back? And right now the answer has been no. They've been able to be efficient and productive by committee, but so far we haven't seen what's been a hallmark of Matt Campbell's best teams at Iowa State, and even going back to Toledo, with that dynamic running back like a Breece Hall or a David Montgomery, who now we see highlights of every Sunday. So that is the big question for the offense. And if that doesn't materialize, can the passing game continue to lead the way in a way that it really hasn't in Campbell's tenure, even when Brock Purdy was here, because you had David Montgomery and you had Breece Hall. So that'll be the big question offensively. On the other side, I think it's workmanlike, where you've seen coordinator John Haycock have some of the nation's elite defenses year in and year out. And I don't know that they have a star on that side of the ball like they have, whether it was a Mike Rose or a Will McDonald in years past, but they do have a lot of really good all Big 12 caliber players that are playing really good football right now.
Travis, they gave up 171 yards rushing to Houston. They have only allowed like 102.5 yards per game passing. Have they played anybody that's tested their secondary?
Not in a meaningful way. I mean, Houston really could not throw the ball at all. They were moving 2 quarterbacks in, one, I think, through 1 pass in the entire game. They played, the only other high major team that they've played, or Power 4 team they played, is Iowa. And obviously we know the deficiencies that the Hawkeyes have through the air. But I would say, while they maybe haven't been tested at that elite level yet, I do think when you look at the guys that they have in the secondary, starting with the safeties of Bo Freeler, Malik Verdun, and Jeremiah Cooper, those are all Big 12 caliber safeties. Like, that defensive secondary is going to be very good. Now, they don't have TJ Tampa at corner, who's now playing for the Ravens like they did last year, but they have 3 guys that they're very high on playing corner that they're rotating. So I'm not really concerned about that secondary, just because I do think the talent is there and the experience is there, that you kind of know what you're getting, even if those guys have not had, the full-on aerial attack that they'll probably see at times throughout this year.
What do you think is the thing that Baylor does that Iowa State will have the hardest time with?
Oh, good question. I mean, I think for Iowa State, the big question is, I would imagine this is going to be a desperate Baylor team. I think desperate teams are dangerous teams, and Iowa State has a lot to play for. I mean, there is a lot of hype about this game, but it's not really about Baylor. It's about Iowa State being 4-0, trying to get to 5-0. It's a night game. People are going a little bonkers for this whiteout in the stands, and with Iowa State's new uniforms, that there's, I think, a lot of pressure building for Iowa State. And when you couple that with a team, that has lost close games the last 2 weeks, that has a coach I think that's probably under pressure there in Waco, they're going to come out swinging. And then the question I think for Iowa State, are they going to be able to steady themselves and, kind of shrug off the pomp and circumstance of the day and get down to playing that workman-like football that's been successful for them this year.
Jack Trice Stadium is underrated. Unless you've been there, you understand it, and you've been there a lot, Travis. I've been there. The tailgating is first class. It's unbelievable, and yet the crowd is locked in, as you would expect. And so kind of explain, do they have a home field advantage at that stadium?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, it's not an overwhelmingly huge venue like going to a Horseshoe or a Big House or, even Oklahoma or Texas, but, that's 65,000 strong. They're there before kickoff. They are well lubricated by the 6:30 tip-off on Saturday night. Again, and they're loud and they're rowdy. It is without a doubt a home field advantage. It's probably not among the elite in college football, but I do think it is a sneaky tough place to play because the fans are smart, they're engaged, and they've always got something to prove. Iowa State football is not exactly a premier program over the history of college football. And I think, especially in the new Big 12, Iowa State and their fans want to be looked at as a team that can ascend that hierarchy. And I think they sense right now is their chance to go and seize that. So I think Saturday will be pretty electric at Jack Trice Stadium.
There have been other coaches that have had some success at Iowa State, and now Matt Campbell, the all-time winningest coach there for the Cyclones. Have they ever had a stretch like they're in right now? There was the one blip. They played for a Big 12 title. They've had 6 of 7 years with a winning season. They're on their way to having now 7 of 8.
No, I mean, this is the golden era of Iowa State football, and it's not even close. I mean, again, this is a program that did not have a bowl victory until the year 2000. You heard that correctly, did not have a bowl victory until the year 2000. Campbell took over a program that I think had 3 Big 12 victories in the 2 years prior, or in the 3 years prior to his arrival. This is, to not sugarcoat it, it was a bottom basement football program for the vast majority of its 100 years before Matt Campbell got there. And for a lot of different reasons, they've elevated now to a place where they played for a Big 12 title in 2020. They won the Fiesta Bowl that year. It was their first appearance in a New Year's Six Bowl. Obviously, 2021, they got to a bowl game, but with everybody back from that 20 team, it was disappointing, but it still ranks as probably one of the 15 or 20 best seasons in Iowa State history. And now you're seeing a huge ramp back up after a disappointing 2022. I mean, these are the good old days for Iowa State football right now, without a doubt.
Travis Hines with us from the Des Moines Register on 365 Sports. You mentioned that Baylor, obviously, backed against the wall. A couple of devastating losses. One, especially in Boulder, then last week they started to tease the fan base, and then they couldn't finish. Dave Aranda on the hot seat. What do you see? I'm not sure how often you've watched them, but what do you see whenever you have?
Yeah, I mean, watching that Baylor BYU game last week from my hotel room in Houston, I was impressed that they were able to fight back, because you lose that game like they did in Boulder, and then you're down, 21-0 in the first quarter to BYU. It would have been pretty easy to fold up shop. And I know, saying that the team tried hard is not exactly going to endear anybody to the fan base, but, it's not always a given. That could have gone the other way. So I think it is important that a team has not given up or, is refusing to give up. And so I think that was impressive. And, the question will be is, can they sustain that? And can they try to pull a little bit of momentum there? And this is a really tough spot for them. They're going against a good team on the road at night in a game that means a lot to Iowa State. So this is a tough spot for Baylor, but if they're able to show some of that grit and toughness that I think you saw in the second half against BYU, I think there's no reason why, this is a game that it will be already over heading into the fourth quarter.
Travis, thank you for your time, man. Appreciate it. Always great to have you on. Des Moines Register, Travis Hines with us on 360.
Game Day Live, sponsored locally by Central Texas Plumbing Solutions and Bird Colgin Ford.
The new treatments are not, they're not just something new to do. They make a big difference in people's lives. I've seen patients that came in just barely walking, kind of limping in, we offer them these kind of newer treatments, and then I'm surprised at how quick they get back. Because there's so many new things available, people need a chance to be able to understand what the options are. And so you can see these really substantial changes in people's lives, and those are all new.
Need auto parts? Budget Rent-A-Part has a huge inventory with new arrivals daily. Search parts easily on our website or give us a call. Then grab your tools and visit our organized yard where you can easily locate, pull your own parts, and save big. Got a junk car taking up space? We pay top dollar and the tow is free. Pick and pull your parts or sell your junker with Budget Rent-A-Part, your auto part headquarters located on 190 in Belton.
Mr. Rhodes?
That was a little too close for anyone's comfort, mine included.
I don't want to hurt anybody.
The crosswalk stripes are sending you a message.
Stop for pedestrians. Got it.
And slow down.
I'll keep my eyes open from now on.
And we'll all get where we're going safely.
I want that, Mr. Rhodes.
I just love humanity. Does anybody need a hug?
Studios of 365 Sports on MLK and Elm, right down the street from McLean Stadium. Nice and quiet there today. It won't be at Jack Trice in Ames, Iowa. Iowa State 6:30, 16th ranked team in the country hosting Baylor. Here is what you have today in the rest of the conference. A lot of games are later today. In fact, there is no early game. There was that Houston win we discussed last night. West Virginia, guys, Craig and Paul, West Virginia at Oklahoma State.
This game is interesting to me because Oklahoma State's, kind of reeling right now. They really need this win. West Virginia needs to get some momentum going. So there's high stakes for both teams. Oklahoma State, if they lose this one, that'd be a third loss in a row, and they would be in a total free fall.
Yeah, it's an important game for both. I guess, it kind of is redundant. Every game is in the conference at this point, but I think just for the trajectory of both teams, this is kind of a fork in the road. And Oklahoma State, for as many problems as they've had, I think you still have to favor them at home. But if they were to lose another game at Stillwater, then this would be a little bit different than just your typical struggles. I think that would be concerning, not hot seat concerning. Obviously, Gundy's pretty much untouchable, but I'd be really worried if they weren't able to take care of business against the Mountaineers at home, just because that's one you have to have given their current state.
Yeah, that is interesting because what you just don't know. We may be talking about somebody else that all of a sudden wins the game this weekend. There's that Baylor-Iowa State game. UCF has to be a little bit humbled because Colorado beat them up and hammered them with all the crowd. A great job in Orlando for GameDay. Fox Noon kickoff. But then humbled by Colorado on the road against a team that's just been circled. It's on the SEC Network. Florida is also a team. They just need something good to happen.
Yeah, they're in dire straits. Billy Napier's not saving his job. That's over. Drilled twice at home by Miami and A&M. The home fans are over it. If he loses to UCF, a team that they wouldn't even spit on if they were on fire, Gators to Knights. I mean, they look down on those programs. He's out the door. This is a big opportunity for KJ Jefferson. Beat Florida at, last year when he was at Arkansas. Yep. There in Gainesville as well. So he's not going to, it's the moment's not going to be too big for him as far as crowd noise goes. He's dealt with it before. I think UCF wins this game and gets their swagger back.
Yeah, I'm torn on this one. I mean, I think UCF's probably got to be the favorite, but going into the Swamp still, I feel like there's got to be something to that, even if it doesn't seem as ferocious as it typically is. We'll see. Florida's been a mess, but that was a messy look for UCF against Colorado as well. So I think, the Knights have a great opportunity. They won the last meeting, and they could actually tie the all-time series lead with a win here because they've only played 4 times as of today. So they could win these last 2 and make it a 2-2 all-time series, which would definitely be a big feather in their cap and something no Florida fan thought they'd ever be talking about. But that's where we are now with the Billy Napier era, is things just seem to be kind of compiling and combining to just be one big negative pile. So it wouldn't be surprising to see another big one added on today, and one that would probably be the final straw to Paul's point here. But I don't think it's easy as they're just going to waltz in there and grab this. I think it's they got to go out there and earn it.
And I saw where there's a player who's entering or taking the rest of the year off.
2 of them.
They
a wide receiver and a DB.
Yeah, and then you're coming off a game when you were bloodied by Colorado, and I mean that thing got away from them quickly, and it was as well as Colorado not just throwing the ball around, was the fact they beat them up, and UCF was the one that had the powerful running game, but it just did not materialize. So you wonder about where they are with their heads down, but having Florida on the road probably didn't take Gus Malzahn long to get his team's attention. And then finally, a couple of other games. Tonight in Tempe on ESPN2, talk about a team that has lost their confidence. KU at Arizona State, and the Sun Devils have been kind of a fun story so far, a nice story so far early in the year with Dillingham.
You want to know somebody who's desperate? It's the Jayhawks. They've got to go get a win here. If you're 1-5 and then have to go down the stretch 5-1 to get to a bowl game, which Lance Leipold, has established as the baseline for a good season for Kansas, then that's going to be really tough. They've got to get one in Tempe, but that means that Jalen Daniels has to get right, and we'll see. I mean, they keep losing close games. I know TCU wasn't close-ish, but they've got to finish. They've got to make plays when they need to.
Yeah, I mean, TCU was a close game. They just, were able to extend that lead late in that game. That was a pretty competitive. But, KU has been on the opposite side of where they thought they would be in a lot of these games so far at this point. And I don't know, man. I think Arizona State better here. And I wouldn't be surprised at all to see KU end up at 1-5 to start the year, which basically dooms any postseason. I mean, you're not going to go 5-1 down the stretch. So this is a really important game. You don't want to start counting bowl wins, but when you're in the situation they are, you kind of do now, because you have to go 5-1 or 5-0 to make a bowl game. And no matter what you thought about their preseason hype, you certainly didn't think you'd be talking about maybe not making the postseason halfway through the year. I mean, that's how bad this start has been. And for Arizona State, if they can get good quarterback play, then I think they've got a great opportunity to win this game. But they're going to have to be able to throw it around a little bit. I don't think they can just rely on Scatterboot to carry them offensively every week, and that's kind of been the case to some extent. But I like Dillingham a lot. I think he'll have his guys ready, and I think I like Arizona State here.
I tell you what, when we did the poll at the start of the year, the media poll, I don't remember exactly where I put Kansas, but I could not put them up too high.
I put them third.
Because I just and you admit that, and that's fine.
I admit it.
No, that it's fine. But there was something about it. It's nothing like, I think I still had him in the top 5, but I just couldn't put him in that same group with Oklahoma State. Look at them. And then, of course, with Utah and K-State. Also, you have Texas Tech in a late kickoff tonight, 10 o'clock on the road in Tucson. Texas Tech 4-1. They normally have issues early. Right now they're 4-1. They're winning close games, winning that game at home against Cincinnati.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of points. I would bang the over on this one if you're of the betting type. 44-41 last week. I think the over-under is at 64.5. I'm hitting the over on that, although I'm not any kind of an expert, but I'm just saying there's going to be more.
Yeah, you're sounding like one of those online companies.
There's more than 64.5 points scored in this game. It's going to come down to whose defense can get one or two key stops probably. In this one, because Tech's defense is not gonna blow the doors off anybody, and neither for that part is Arizona's.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how Tech's defense holds up against Arizona, who kind of opened it up last week. Fafita was awesome down the stretch. T-Mac didn't really get involved all that much. They kind of had him to the wayside, which I think is actually a good thing, because you've relied on him too much. And so I think that's a good thing. The Fafita spread it out a little bit more. And so this late kickoff, I think, is going to be fascinating to see just how both teams come out, because it's one thing to have a 9 o'clock kick, but an actual 10 o'clock Central Time kickoff is pretty nuts and not something you see all that often. So kind of like when teams go to BYU and they have to wait around the team hotel all day long, and you kind of just get, it's weird. You don't do that very often. I wonder if that has an effect with Texas Tech, but should be highly competitive, should be a shootout. I'd lean that way more so than I would lean to some, big defensive game. But I think Arizona can get some stops, and I think being on the road is a boogeyman that Texas Tech has yet to conquer. So if they can go out and win tonight and be 5-1 and have a win at Arizona, then I think we start talking a lot differently about Joey McGuire and where this program is, and the fact that it's getting to where you now want it to be and where you thought it could be underneath him, because that's been the thing that they can't shake is big performances on the road. So golden opportunity, but very strange late kickoff time makes this more interesting than it otherwise would be.
I'm going to throw out this note just real quick. 2 games this week, Texas Tech, Arizona. That's a 10 o'clock kickoff for Texas Tech's body clock. For Miami at Cal, it's a 10:30 Eastern kickoff for the Miami players. So while I think Miami will win that game because they do well late at night, but it's still going to feel weird.
Did Florida State beat Cal last week?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. The Cal Twitters follow. You need to go follow their Twitter account. They're funny. Calgorithm. All right. Garrett Ross is producing for us today. Craig Smoak, Paul Catalina. I'm David Smoak. Game Day Live returns in a moment. 365 Sports and KWTX.
Central Texas Plumbing Solution is the team you can count on to go the extra mile and resolve your plumbing problems quickly and thoroughly. Getting it done right the first time. So when you need some help before the big game, call Central Texas Plumbing Solutions.
Want to instantly look more attractive and years younger? The solution is whiter teeth. But you love coffee and tea, maybe even wine or smoking, and all of them stain your teeth and make them yellow. It's time you discovered Power Swabs, the fast 5-minute revolutionary treatment.
The first time I tried it, I was so surprised. My husband was so excited that he wanted to run out and get it. He said, "What have you been trying?" I said, "Well, I've tried this product called Power Swab." And he said, "I can't believe how white your teeth are." From that point on, I've been sold.
Power Swabs are guaranteed to whiten your teeth up to 2 shades after the first application. After 5-minute daily treatments for the next week, your teeth will be an average of 6 shades whiter. Power Swabs will whiten natural teeth and remove stains from veneers, bonding, caps, and crowns.
This is a Power Swab smile.
This is a Power Swab smile.
Call, go online, or scan the code on your screen right now to receive 50% off. You'll also receive the Power Swab Stain Out Quick Stick, absolutely free. And in addition, you will also get free shipping.
Central Texas Plumbing Solution is the team you can count on to go the extra mile and resolve your plumbing problems quickly and thoroughly. Getting it done right the first time. So when you need some help before the big game, call Central Texas Plumbing Solutions.
Watch the Greg May Honda Extra Point High School Football Show every Friday night at 10.
Before the game kicked off Saturday, Baylor and BYU at McLean Stadium, I was walking down the hall and I heard J.J. Joe go through the keys of the game or whatever it was going to be. Forgot the segment, but that. And I think the first thing he may have said, and J.J.'s on with us now via the video link, was turnovers. And J.J., I think it was the first offensive snap of the game. They're already down 7-0, and there's a turnover. And it's like, oh, my God, J.J. has got to be going, my goodness. You played there. You've broadcast for them. Do you want to just pull your hair out watching what the ups and downs of this team?
Yeah, how you guys doing? Turnovers is a very generic one that you can use all the time, right? Hey, whoever wins the turnover battle. But this BYU team specifically this year, basically the Kansas State game was a turnover fest for them. And they feasted on teams, and I just knew when you have a veteran team and then we have a team that needs some little momentum, that's our team, Baylor, we needed to find a way to be a +1 or +2, and to have that first offensive play, which I'll be honest, a great play by the BYU defensive lineman to get that tip, not only tip it, but to catch it. It would just seem like deja vu, like here we go, man, and it just started the thing out wrong.
JJ, look, there's been a lot of noise around Dave Aranda anyway. I mean, no matter what, has happened. But these last 2 weeks have certainly amplified that. And they keep kind of having the same problems. Either they fall so far behind, they've got to play cardiac football to catch up, or they have a team dead to rights and can't put them in the ground. That is the thing that has not changed. How do they get that to change?
Yeah, man, that's a great question. If I had to answer that, I'd go get on that staff. I tell you, at least sell it to them. But it's a tough one. You're dealing with 18 to 22-year-olds, man. And for some reason, we have seen more slow starts than we would want to see over the last couple of years. And to see us go down 21-0 in the beginning and not be able to respond until late, I know that frustrates the fans, and it frustrates everybody, I think, associated with the program. I think it frustrates the coaches as well. They're trying to look for the button. But, I think what's missing, to be honest with you, is that I think I said it maybe last week, is that they're still looking for the who on this team. And it's, it's just part of it, part of the process. And I just think that this team right here has some solid players. They're much better players, I think, overall, whether they've developed or we brought new guys in than last year. But we still not sure, man, who's our dude. And Sawyer's playing well. I think Matt Jones is playing well on the other side. Keaton Thomas is playing well on the other side. But we don't have someone who's willing to take us there. And until you get somebody who's on each side that says, hey, I'm going to take us there, we may see more of this.
JJ, the run game is non-existent. I mean, it's a total non-factor for the most part. I know part of that's the O-line, but it was interesting to hear Aranda say in the post-game that some of that was also just the running backs themselves, like not hitting the hole hard enough or just effort on their part, which is also another layer of concern. But what do you see with the run game? Is it just doomed from the moment the ball is snapped? Is it some of what the backs are doing? Like, can you help us understand why it just seemingly is stuck in place?
Yeah, man, I tell you, Greg. I mean, that's one where I think it's a combination, right? As I watch it up front, against BYU, I figured we'd have to figure out another way, and Coach started to do some of this really short stuff out wide. I think we got Bryson one out wide. He went behind two blockers, ways to find ways to run. I figured it'd be tough this week, so I'm not surprised this week that it was tough for us to get going. But to be able, we talked about it last time, to be able to close a game, you have to be able to run the ball. To be able to settle a game down, you have to be able to run the ball. And you see with us right now, the challenge since 21 is that we've struggled in both of those, because since we can run the ball, we couldn't settle the game down after it's been kind of getting away from us. So we need to, kind of slow things down. And we have a hard time closing it because we're not consistently running it. And that's, it's just a combination of sometimes, like you said, maybe we make a wrong cut, or maybe that's just that one block that's missed.
JJ, you had 2 players suspended. There was a lot of guys out, too, because of injuries, but you had 2 playmakers suspended. And others that, I'm sorry, you played again. This is supposed to be a team with better leadership, and maybe they do have that. But is that inexcusable? And was Baylor or Aranda too harsh when we're considering a couple of guys that were smoking pot?
And Smoak, you guys are more privy to what it's about than I am. But, it's tough because, Coach has a standard. And when you have a standard, the one thing you have to do is hold fast to that standard. I mean, you just got to, if that's what he's had in place for the last, since he got here. You hate to see it because, especially coming off of a terrible loss, the last thing you needed was, to be missing those players. Now, if you would have told me we were going to be missing our starting 2 corners, we knew Garmin was out because he was hurt. Then we're going to miss Steve Linton. Then we're going to miss Trigg. I would have said we lose by 2 touchdowns. But I think he has to hold to the standard. And I think, from a leadership standpoint, that's what I'm talking about. And not just to go back to Gloria, but when I played, the first few years, it was a Jay Fan, Robert Blackman, Gary Joe Kenny, and those guys led. We didn't win a lot, but kind of they were the leaders. After that, it was a Santana Dotson, it was Big Cat Robin Jones, it was Monty Jones, it was John Turnpaul, Scott Berrien, and those guys kind of ran it, right? And it's good to have the big guys running it because most guys aren't going to mess with them. And I think this thing is too much. It has to right now. It feels like the coaches have to do too much, and I know that sounds strange, but you got to have some players in there, man. That's taking this thing by the head. And when we had those players, we could tell the difference. And now we don't. We're trying to find them, and it's just still a little. We just have a little gap right there right now.
JJ, Caden Jenkins, Lorando Johnson. Now, granted, he got hurt right in the very beginning. Chateau Reed, Kendrick Simpkins, Garmin Randolph, Steve Linton, Jacquez Evans, Kelsey Johnson, Richard Reese. I mean, the list of guys that did not play, or in the case of Lorando, played one play and were knocked out, was pretty lengthy. I know a couple were suspension-related, and then the others were health-related. That's a pretty big dose of impactful players. Who do you think they missed the most on Saturday, and who do they desperately need back coming up this weekend?
Well, I think we missed Garmin Randolph the most, but he was hurt, right? I thought Garmin has been playing really good football. I know we definitely missed Linton. I mean, I think Linton was huge for us. I think it's hard to say, man, Craig, because I think we also missed Trigg. We needed somebody to help control the middle of the field. And Sawyer was throwing the ball really well. I thought that would have really helped our passing game, having a big body and Trigg. So, for the guys who didn't live up to the standard, man, you got to put your big boy pants on to take this one in the chin. You ought to be in front of a camera, admitting what you did, and saying, "Hey, it won't happen again." Because ultimately, I think this game was lost, really not on the guys that were hurt. I think it was lost just based on the guys we missed from maybe them not living up to the standard that's set. So I wish I could be more clear, but I mean, I think a combination of maybe even a couple of those guys. And I thought we struggled early with the corners. I thought because we had two guys playing who hadn't played a lot, so we missed Caden and Lorando Snacks. But I think missing those other guys in the middle, like I mentioned, I think that really impacted us on Saturday.
What is their identity?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you ask me, and this is not being crass a little bit, but I think they're a team of almost. And I've been on a couple of those teams, so trust me, I'm not knocking you. And I've been on a few almost teams. Matter of fact, most of my teams I was on was a team of almost. We almost did this, and only people who can change it is them. I mean, right now they'll be one of the Baylor teams that was an almost.
JJ Joe, former Baylor quarterback, Baylor Radio, with us on 365 Sports.
JJ, have you got to watch much of Iowa State? I know you've been to Ames before, so factoring that into what they face this weekend, what are your thoughts about the Bears and the Cyclones?
Hey, it'll be another Big 12 game. I mean, I feel like in all these games, I think we're 13-point dogs, man. I think I looked at it. I don't know what to expect, but I mean, because you never know. But I don't expect us to lose by 2 touchdowns. Iowa State's good. They play really good defense. I try to watch some of that Houston game. And Houston's just really struggling now, so I couldn't stick in there. I had to flip over to one that was a little bit more competitive. But I think Iowa State they're gonna play traditional, good, Campbell type football. They're gonna be good defensively. Offensively, I think they're doing enough. They've shown they have that grit to this year. Now it seems like they're winning those games. They beat Iowa early, so it's gonna be a tough one. It's hard to get a win up there. It's gonna be night. It's a night game. I don't know what the weather is yet, but it's another game that if we have all our guys, I would not be surprised if we won the game. That's the funny thing. And I would not be surprised if we went down 21-0 and lost by 7. I mean, that's the strange thing. Because, I mean, it would not shock me if we went to Iowa State and won. That's the weird thing.
Yeah, it's just they tease you a little bit, and then you can just go, my God, who are they? And that was kind of a combination of the last couple of weeks. JJ, thank you very much. Good luck. Be careful in Ames. Have a great broadcast, and thanks for your time as always.
Thank you, guys.
That's JJ Joe with us on every other Monday. Ricky Thompson is every other Tuesday, and their thoughts based on the broadcast, former players, and where things are.
Game Day Live, sponsored locally by Central Texas Plumbing Solutions and Bird Colgin Ford.
If you need a system repair or replacement, call the good folks at Clark Heating and Air Conditioning. They're family owned and operated since 1999 and offer best of the best installation, maintenance, and customer service. Being Waco's Tempstar Elite dealer, they have the best warranties and financing options. The Clark team is knowledgeable, well-trained, and ready to serve you. Call Clark Heating and Air Conditioning today and see why they're Waco's Tempstar Elite dealer.
The right call can make all the difference on and off the field. Hi, I'm Mark Stewart with Bird Colgin Ford. When it's that time for your next car, truck, or SUV, Bird Colgin Ford is the right call. Check out the F-150, America's #1 truck, 47 years in a row. Now with 3.9 for 60, plus additional savings. Make the right call with your next vehicle at Bird Colgin Ford. Experience better at BK Ford.
Look at this one under eye bag. It's gone.
They are some of the hottest videos on social media. Those videos claiming to instantly get rid of bags under your eyes. It's called Plexiderm, and lifestyle expert Annette Figueroa is here to tell us why she says this one is for real.
This one is for real, and I'm so excited. And not only does it work on the bags, it works on the appearance of crow's feet, fine lines, and wrinkles.
At our $14.95 price, your solution is at plexidermtrial.com.
I don't know if the Baylor fan base is listless, but you know they're frustrated, and they have a right to be after 2021 was the best year ever. And the ending of 22, last year a disaster, this year close but no cigar. Dave Aranda and his football team, as we know, they need to feel good. And they had the chance in Colorado in a game where I thought they played well enough, and then they got burned with the Hail Mary, and almost twice, and then, of course, in overtime. I don't see that happening today in Ames, Iowa.
No.
They're not a team that beats themselves, and they might end up with 38 minutes of time of possession.
Yeah, I think that's going to hurt Baylor quite a bit today. They're just so ridiculously efficient and good at the little things that when they start getting good at the big plays, they're going to be really, really scary because they do have some really good athletes on that team. And right now, it's the most Matt Campbell-ish team that Matt Campbell's maybe ever Matt Campbelled.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a tough challenge. You know, they've got some good receivers in Noel and Higgins. They've got a running game that hasn't quite got off the ground yet, so we'll see if Baylor's defense can actually start well. If they do what they did last week, this will be a bloodbath, and I don't think there will be any real recovering as far as confidence levels in this team if they go and get blown out. So I think that they'll put up a good fight. I think they're all in, but I don't know that they have the personnel to really match up well enough to go on the road and go win this game. You know, it just is what it is. And I think it's all just going to come down to execution and how they start. If they can start well, unlike their typical showings, and they can execute well and not turn the football over, then I think they've got the pieces to make this competitive and even win. But, you know, that's asking a lot.
Thank you to those in the chat room today, those watching us, 365 Sports, also on the Sikkim 365 app. Here's Dave Aranda on the state of his team.
Is there a little bit of a us against the world kind of mentality right now? I mean, maybe you do that all the time on the road, but like just with the way the last couple weeks have gone, I mean, is it just kind of we've got us and that's it, or?
They feel, I know they for sure are frustrated and angry, and I also know that they know that, here's this team that has all this ability, all this promise. We showed something at, I think, the second half, 3 points, 46 yards. I think a lot of those 46 yards was off of the fake that BYU had, right? I think we've had other halves like that. If we put halves and halves together in a complete game, we're not top 30, we're top 10, and all that's. I think they see that that's a possibility. They see that there's glimpses of that, whereas maybe in the past there wasn't. And so I think that drives them and motivates them more than anything, that they know there's something there. But we've got to finish, what we start.
Also, Paul just said this is the most Matt Campbell team of all the Matt Campbell teams, though his style and identity, and based on what Dave Aranda says, he's right.
Dave, what are the things that Iowa State does well defensively?
I think they want you to, I think that's a whole, that philosophy is all ingrained team-wise, where offensively they'll shift emotion and add different fixins and layers to whatever whatever salad they're trying to dress up, and it's going to be a whole bunch of different whole different types of looks they're going to give you, and but in the basis it's the same play, and they get they kind of matriculate the ball down the field doing that, 4 yards here, 3 yards here, 5 yards here. I want to say the team they played last week offensively had like 40-some snaps, 50-some snaps. So they ball control offensively and just eat up clock. And then on the other side of it, defensively, it's kind of the same thing in reverse. They're going to rush three, they're going to drop everybody back, and they're going to make it so that you have to have the discipline to put a 10-play drive together where you're not forcing a ball, or you're not, putting the ball at risk trying to get it forward, or you're not having a holding call or a false start or any of these things. And I think, that whole philosophy has treated them well. And so they kind of choke you out slowly. I think this last game was kind of a tight game until it wasn't. But, that whole style of play is Iowa State style. I'm sure that's not how Houston wants to play, that style of football. And so that's going to be our challenge.
All right, that's Dave Aranda. When we come back, a note from Jack McKenzie. Baylor, Iowa State, we wrap it up. Game Day Live. Appreciate your time this morning, but we're not done. And back in a moment.
Baylor alumni are more than 160,000 strong. When we all join hands to support our university, we don't just move the needle, we move mountains. Working together, we create life-changing opportunities for students on the field, in the classroom, in the laboratory, and in life for generations to come. So get connected, get involved. Learn how at baylor.edu/alumni.
Score big savings at the Kickoff to Savings event at Richard Carr Buick. A first-year All-American and a 2024 Car and Driver Magazine Editor's Choice. The all-new Buick Envista starts at only $23,990. Or make the winning drive in a 2024 Buick Encore GX SUV and save $4,000 for non-GM car owners. Qualified buyers get 0.9% financing and no payments for 90 days. Score your deal at the Kickoff to Savings event going on now at Richard Carr Buick.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Make Camp Fimfo the destination for your next visit to Waco. Whether you're catching a football game, exploring the silos, or just looking to get away, Camp Fimfo Waco is conveniently located 6 miles from downtown and Baylor University. Voted the #1 best vacation rental in Waco for the last 2 years, this camping resort features cabins and RV sites and is brimming with premium amenities like on-site dining, sports courts, a swimming pool, and more. Start making unforgettable memories and book your stay at Camp Fimfo Waco.
Get ready, Baylor fans. The ultimate game weekend experience awaits you at the Baylor Club. Kick off your weekend with our Friday Night Live pep rally. With live entertainment and special appearances from the Baylor Spirit Squad, it's the perfect way to start your game weekend with a roar. On Saturdays, don't miss our Knox Hall tailgate. Enjoy delicious food, ice-cold drinks, and great company as you gear up for the big game. And after the weekend's excitement, wrap it all up with our famous Bear brunches on Sundays. Don't wait. Make your game weekends legendary with the Baylor Club membership today.
Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, a wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trust. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
Clap by Robertson. Chest high snap. Lobs it down the near side. It's in the air a long time. Picked off! That'll be the ball game! Crew Wakely! seals the deal. BYU takes the win.
Everyone's hurt, as we should be. That's the mood in the locker room, but we know that come tomorrow, we got to take that on the chin and watch the film and then correct our mistakes.
They, for sure, are frustrated.
We know the kind of team that we are, and I think for both of those games that we've lost so far, we were obviously the better team.
And angry.
It's just being close, like, kind of sucks.
Here's this team that has all this ability, all this promise.
You don't play to get close. Nobody remembers the guys that get close to winning.
If we put halves and halves together in a complete game, we're not top 30, we're top 10.
Just putting it all together and getting a win, no matter how it looks, it's really important.
I think that drives them and motivates them more than anything, that they know there's something there.
There's a lot of fight in this team, and I believe in every single one of those guys in the locker room. I think everybody's tired of getting close.
Got to finish, what we started.
We're going to keep fighting every day, putting ourselves in the best position to win. The results will come. You just got to trust it.
Baylor, to me, can turn it around. They have the ability to win. They're just not making winning plays when it counts.
I feel some momentum building on our side going into this one.
I think it's a confidence thing, too. I think everybody needs to know that we can go out here and play against whoever and win.
I think the response from the team after and then the practice we had, like I said, we can build some momentum off of this.
Going out there on game day and just settling down, not making the moment too big, and just knowing your job, doing your job, and trusting that your brother will do the same thing.
It's going to be a great test for us in terms of our eyes, a lot of things that we struggled with just a couple days ago.
They are a really good defense. I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a really fun game.
They kind of choke you out slowly. It's going to be a great challenge for us.
I still think if you're a coach in the Big 12 and you're going on the road to play an undefeated team, who would you most like to play? I think Iowa State's that team.
You just have to find ways to help everybody out and adjust.
In people's faces, just demanding more, and then you're getting guys responding.
It's time to lock in and handle business. It's going to be a fight.
You're getting the emotion, and then you're getting the response. And so we're going to need it for this one.
At the end of the day, we just got to do it.
We're just ready to go.
That's a great job by our Jack McKenzie, who is a videographer, reporter, does all of the coverage of our pressers or Baylor's pressers throughout the week, and that was beautiful to open up this last segment. Everything that was said there, we just got to go do it. And the other part about what Aranda said, we've heard it twice, they just choke you out. I love a defense that can do that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They wear you down. They absolutely, make sure that you have nothing left in your tank, and that everything you do has been kind of like, well, that didn't work. Let's see if we can do here and get you out of your game plan. That's what they've been all this year, and they've been good in the second half when they haven't played well in the first. Iowa State has a little bit of that too, where against Iowa, against Houston, we saw them not play well in the first half, and in the second half they come to play. Baylor's been not good in the second half and come to play in several second halves, but Iowa State finishes and Baylor doesn't. That's where the rubber meets the road for me today, and why, outside of records and where this game is being held, I'm picking Iowa State. I would pick Iowa State if the game was here too.
Yeah, I don't know if I would pick them here, but after last week, maybe I would. I wouldn't blame anybody who did at this point, but certainly with it being in Iowa, with it being a whiteout uniform, new debut game, all this other, kind of crazy details to this game outside of the normal between the lines stuff, I just think that adds a little bit extra onto the Iowa State side of the, scales and tips it even further in their direction. This is that's a great video. Good job by Jack and kind of getting the mood and hyping this one up a little bit. But it's a great opportunity for Baylor. It's hard because I just feel like I'm just saying that every single week.
Absolutely,
and it gets tiring saying the same single thing every single week. But I feel the same way as I did prior to all of these games. You have a good enough team to win this game if you play your best. If you don't, then you're probably not going to win this game. It's really that simple. And by God, could somebody step up and be a finisher if there's a finish to be had, because they've desperately needed that, and that has not been the case so far in 2024.
You know what's interesting is last week they were down 21-0, 28-7, and it was almost as if would Dave Aranda even walk to the locker room and still be the head coach because it was that one-sided, and it wasn't a great crowd. And BYU, of course, had a bunch of fans there for that. But they then they get in position, and their last 3 drives come away empty-handed. So you do all that, you're almost blown out at home, embarrassed at home, and you kind of chip away and you get some plays, and then BYU throws the pick, and you have the ball. In the last 3 drives, after going up and down the field, you get nothing when the game was actually right there in your grasp if you have a chance to make a play.
Yeah, for some reason the Bears don't play like their namesake. Like when they get a taste of the blood, they don't get ravenous, right? They don't, oh my God, like here it is. That's what they need. That's what Baylor needs to do is when you get that taste of it, just go.
Yeah.
I mean, just go. They just seem to, when they're given an opportunity, when they create an opportunity, that it doesn't hit the same way it does for the other team. You know, they don't get to that same point, and that to me is outside of like, you know, you can nitpick about positions, like the biggest macro issue is that.
Yeah.
Is where overarching this whole team is the fact that when you do the things you've been coached to do, when you do the things that are supposed to flip games, one play alone doesn't flip it. It's the plays after it that flip it, and that's where they don't seem to get over the line.
By the way, the last 3 drives of that game, and BYU 34-28, Baylor scored and got close, and there was plenty of time left. Their last 3 drives, 9 plays, 9 yards. 7 plays, 21 yards. And then 2 plays minus 10 yards and the pick. And so you battle all the way back, and it's kind of like the moral victories. This is a team with a stadium that's celebrating its 10th year, the 2021 Big 12 title, Sugar Bowl win, 3 Big 12 titles, played at another one, and moral victories. No. And you keep saying the same thing every week, Craig, and the players have to keep looking at the same thing as well every week. One quick note, Grant Taft, legendary former coach of Baylor, he has been named as the AFCA, or has been named as the Bear Bryant Lifetime Achievement Award winner, presented by, of course, that award. And so I would have thought by now he would have gotten that, but he's won pretty much every award. So congratulations to the former Baylor coach and former executive director of the AFCA, the American Football Coaches Association. 2 top 25 games played last night. Oregon took care of Michigan State 31-10. I think at one point that was 31-0. There's the list of the top 25 games. And then UNLV in overtime. Former Baylor assistant coach Fran Brown in Syracuse. LaQuint Allen bulls himself into the end zone and upended UNLV by the final score of 44-41. Paul, 10 seconds. You wrap it up, then Craig, and then I'll say goodbye.
Baylor fights hard, but I just don't think has the juice to beat Iowa State at home.
Picked Iowa State prior to the season, have not been shaken from that regardless of the Baylor results. I think if they go play their best, they've got an opportunity. But, again, they've got to play a complete game, and we haven't seen them do that yet. Will today be the day? I give them the benefit of the doubt, but I'm certainly not banking on it.
Garrett Ross, thank you very much. Our great friends at KWTX, and those of you who got up today and watched what we're doing today. That game's at 6:30. Iowa State, number 16 in the country, hosting Baylor at Jack Trice Stadium. Royden Ogletree is there for the coverage for KWTX later tonight. I'm David Smoak. Have a great morning.
Central Texas Plumbing Solution is the team you can count on to go the extra mile and resolve your plumbing problems quickly and thoroughly, getting it done right the first time. So when you need some help before the big game, call Central Texas Plumbing Solutions.
The right call can make all the difference on and off the field. Hi, I'm Mark Stewart with Bird Colgin Ford. When it's that time for your next car, truck, or SUV, Bird Colgin Ford is the right call. Check out the F-150, America's #1 truck, 47 years in a row. Now with 3.9 for 60, plus additional savings. Make the right call with your next vehicle at Bird Colgin Ford. Experience better at BK Ford.
Did you know BYOT Auto Parts is one of the largest buyers of used cars, trucks, vans, and SUVs in Central Texas? We'll buy your car today, running or not, and you'll get paid top dollar on the spot. Tired of pouring money into your car? We feel your pain. Got a vehicle that's just collecting dust? We'll pick it up for free and you still get paid. Looking for quality used auto parts? Look no further. At BYOT, bring your own tools and pull your own parts. Call or visit us online today.
BYOT Auto Parts. BYOT Auto Parts. Bring your own tools, pull your own parts.
Central Texas Plumbing Solution is the team you can count on to go the extra mile and resolve your plumbing problems quickly and thoroughly, getting it done right the first time. So when you need some help before the big game, call Central Texas Plumbing Solutions.
Watch the Greg May Honda Extra Point High School Football Show every Friday night at 10.